says I can use it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, let me get going to YouTube again.
There you go. Okay.
On YouTube and so,
Good. So I can share.
Yep.
All right.
awesome.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Oh, all right. So, thank you everyone for joining us. My name's Mark Dakota. I'm the town manager here in Waterville Valley. We would like to, myself and our Director of Public Safety, Dave Noyes, would like to take a few minutes and share some information with you regarding the town's 2024 capital budget. We have a public hearing coming up on February 7th at 6:15 p.m. at the school gymnasium, where we will do a presentation of all of the budget information. And I want to just take a few minutes and make sure that we are giving you all of the info that you need prior to the February 7th meeting. So we're going to go through some slides here that we've prepared to give you this information. The process that we're going through. There we go. We're going to go through a general overview, and then in this year's warrant, there are two bond warrant articles for authorization to borrow money for the purchase of some equipment. Those are centered on the public safety department, so I'll have Dave go through that information and tell you a little bit about the needs and the plans for replacing a fire engine and an ambulance. And then I'll talk to you about our capital reserve accounts as the town, and then go through the remainder of the warrant articles that involve capital projects. If you're watching this on YouTube, there is another video where we reviewed the department individual operating budgets and discussed the changes in the town budget in those areas. So you may want to look that up as well. All right, so we have some statutory debt limits that we have to abide by that are based on the town's total valuation. And we have already some bonds that we are in the process of repaying. So I'd just like to review those really quickly. The total valuation of the town is $503.9 million. The statutory debt limits here in New Hampshire are broken out into three categories. There is a debt limit for the town that is 3% of the total valuation. There's a debt limit for the water department and water infrastructure that's 10% of the total valuation in addition to the town piece. And then there's sewer debt for the infrastructure related to wastewater treatment, and there is no limit to that. And that's because our sewer system is controlled by federal and state regulations. There's really, we have to meet whatever those regulations are. So there is no limit to the amount of debt that a town can incur as far as the state's concerned. So we put this information in the town report. So you're going to see this this debt service principal by department report in the town report this year. The town, as of December 31st, 2023, had total debt in the amount of $3,244,000. It's broken down by these categories for each of the departments that have debt. The water department had an additional $1.34 million in bonded debt on December 31st, and the sewer department had $1,800,000 in additional bonded debt, for a total of $6.4 million for the town overall. I just want to make a note here that the total does not include a further $41 million that's currently authorized by town meeting for the wastewater treatment facility project, but that has not been borrowed yet. I'll talk a little bit more about that project later. We plan to retire. This column is the debt that we are planning to retire during 2024. That's a total of $516,000. And we are proposing 2 new bonds, which total $1,190,000. That's to be added in 2024. So our anticipated end of year balance, principal balance on all of our bonds and notes will be $7.1 million at the end of the year. Again, looking at these statutory limits, we call it the margin that we have available at the end of year 2024. For the town, we'll have approximately $11 million margin at the end of the year, which is about 72.5% of our remaining debt limit. This 15 million here will have 72.7% of that remaining. On the water side, out of the 50 million here, we'll have 97.5% remaining. And then, like I said, no limit for sewer. And then this report will also be in the town report. It just lists out the repayment schedule for all of our existing bonds and notes. And it gives you a total over here in this area. And then we break it down to show you all of the departments and what their limits are. So, all right, so we're gonna do the public safety equipment now. Dave Noyes, our Director of Public Safety, is going to talk to you about the fire engine and the ambulance. Dave.
Hello, everybody. So we're going to start off with the engine 2 replacement. So just a little bit of history. We can click over to the next slide.
Get this out of the way so everybody can see.
Sure. So engine 2 replacement. So currently, what has typically happened in the past is all our fire engines are on a 25-year replacement cycle. This engine was actually slated to be replaced next year, but because of the current conditions of the market, and I'll quote just from our dealers, what is happening is ever since 2021 or COVID, really, prices have been jumping approximately 7% every quarter. And what happened in 2022 is they saw a huge influx of requests for new trucks. They typically do 3,500 to 4,000 trucks a year. In 2022, they had 9,000 requests, which has now forced us into a very long waiting period for a fire engine, 28 to 30 months. So what we did was we looked at the lead time in order to get an engine, and entered into a contract where we put 5% down last year, 5% down this year, but what we're looking for is the authorization for this money, but we do not expect to see this truck until late 2025. That would be replacing our engine 2, which is a 2000 American LaFrance. American LaFrance is no longer in business. This truck has served us well through the years, but it has had some major repairs done within the last 10 years. We've had to repair the pump and the transfer case, which was pretty expensive. This truck is definitely showing its age, and it is certainly appropriate to be replacing this at this time. So what are we replacing it with? So we looked at two dealers. The one dealer that we deal with is DeSorcy Emergency Products, and they are the E1 dealer for our region. So engine 1, our tower 1 is an E1. We got a quote and spec'd out a truck from E1 to the same exact spec as our current engine 1, which we replaced back in 2014. What this does is it keeps our fleet consistent. Engine 1 and tower 1 are also E1s. They have a maintenance. We do have a maintenance plan with them. So any of the dealer services maintenance, they come here once a year to service the diesel engines. That would keep that consistent. So we locked in a price with our contract back in last year for $717,000. We gave them 5% down, and they're expecting another 5% by April. What this does is this locks in our price. Ever since we locked in this price, we're not seeing these huge price increases that has been going for every quarter. So we're not expected to take delivery of this vehicle for 3 years. So we shouldn't see this. It was 855 days in the contract, or 28 to 30 months out. What happens is there is some contingency in here because the price of the chassis, once we get the chassis assigned to us, then that locks it in. But there is a flexibility within this price for some price increases. So we saw a 23% price increase in 2022 for chassis, and a 13% increase in motors, and the 2 to 7 increase per quarter. So what we've done is tried to be a little proactive here, get this price locked in as early as we can, even though we're not expecting to expend this money till next year, but it gives us the flexibility that if this truck is ready early, we have the funds available to purchase this truck. If we will not see this truck late 2025 or 2026, we then are pushing engine 2 out there to it's going to be 26 years old.
And I just want to point out, Dave, that the warrant article that people will see at town meeting will be for $690,000. And that's because we did put the down payment
Yes.
put the down payment down in 2023 out of our operating budget. The select board authorized that expenditure so that we could lock in the agreement and lock in this $717,000 price.
Correct.
So that's why the numbers will be slightly different than what you're showing here.
Yes.
And it is important that we get the full authorization, because the second 5% requires a certification from the selectmen that the town has authorized the purchase of the truck.
That's correct.
So that's why we're asking for the entire amount
Yes,
this year.
and it should be a little different because we do have
The trade-in, and we have a capital reserve. For replacements of fire engines, and I believe that account has 45,000 Correct, and so that will be reflected on the warrant article. So what we actually borrow
Mhm.
will be dependent on a lot of things, on the, we'll make the second down payment.
Yeah.
We will, pay, utilizing the capital reserve account. And then we will also have trade-in potentially.
Potentially, yes,
back in-
yes. There'll be,
in late
it's works.
2025 or 26.
Yes.
We don't know what that will be right now,
Yeah.
but there will be something.
Mhm.
So we will only borrow what we need to borrow
Yes,
at the time we finish closing on the truck. But we must have the full authorization from town meeting.
that's
And
correct.
that's why we have the amounts in the warrant that we do.
Correct.
Yep.
And that's why you're seeing it a year earlier
And-
than what it was originally scheduled. Because of the situation of the
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
and, kind of forced our hand to do that, but, with the outrageous increases, it would only behoove us to act earlier
Yep.
on this, knowing that it was coming.
Okay, so let's talk about the other warrant article. We can't do these combined. We need to do them separately. So there'll be a separate warrant article for our ambulance replacement. And so you want to talk about our current ambulance?
Yeah, so our current ambulance is a 2014 PL Custom TerraStar ambulance. So historically, Waterville Valley replaces their ambulances every 10 years. That is just something we've always done. We found that a 10-year service life is an appropriate amount of time to replace these before um, uh, real serious maintenance issues start happening. Everybody can understand that it's very important to keep our one and only ambulance in service and up and running. And so that's one of the reasons why a 10-year life is appropriate for here. It takes um, um, even though we're not talking really high mileage, but there is a lot of hard miles on this ambulance. The roads back and forth from the mountain to Spear certainly do take a toll on it. This ambulance has been actually very good for us. It is in very good shape, but it is starting to show its age. And our biggest concern for me in the department is keeping an ambulance up and running with minimal downtime, since it is the only ambulance that we have. So our ambulance replacement is, we have a proposal to replace it with another PL Custom. We asked them to give us the same exact spec as our current ambulance. This company is the company that built our 3 previous ambulances. So they're actually a very uh, good company to work with. It's the same spec, same size, and same manufacturer. So this $500,000 price includes a $38,000 contingency. Okay, the price is not locked in until the chassis is ordered. Again, ambulances, just like the fire truck industry, are seeing these huge increases every quarter, and the demand for them is very, very high. Uh, they do not require 0% down, so we did put an order in already, but we may not be seeing this ambulance until late 2024 or 2025. But what we want to do is get ahead of those uh, uh, significant price increases and get our order in now. So we did make that last year, even though it didn't require a down payment or any monetary commitment on our part. But we did negotiate and have the ambulance spec'd out. It's not going to be very much different than what we currently have. Just so you know, our ambulance revenues are on average are about $135,000 to $140,000 a year. This in 2023, it was 160,000, which is higher than we have in the past, and I don't expect, based on our call volume, for that number to go down significantly.
All right, so let's talk about, those will be the two bond warrant articles. There will be other articles involving public safety vehicles and equipment in the warrant, and one of those is the replacement of cruiser number 2. Do you want to talk about that, Dave?
Yes. So we're on a 6-year replacement cycle for police cruisers. We replaced Cruiser 1 last year. Was a 6-year-old Ford Explorer police package. We are then looking to replace Cruiser 2, is now 6 years old. Definitely showing its age. Those are, ever since we were able to kind of park these in, we went from a 4 to 5 year replacement schedule to a 6-year, and that seems to be working out really well for us. The quote that we had is for a 2024 Dodge Durango, exactly the same spec as Cruiser 1 as we replaced last year. It keeps our fleet consistent, so it helps our maintenance people ordering parts, filters, oil, that sort of thing, keeps everything the same. 62,000 includes the cost of the vehicle and for outfitting. And again, police cars is, even though not as extreme on the fire service for fire trucks, we're still looking 9 to 12 months out for delivery date. We did have a preliminary contract to order this vehicle with an escape clause in case this was not authorized. But again, this will be replacing our 2017 Ford Explorer.
Now we got some equipment in addition to the vehicles. What are you looking at?
So our next two items, so the last 2 years, we've been applying for the Assistance to Firefighters grant to replace our SCBA. For those of you who don't know what an SCBA is, it's our self-contained breathing apparatus. It's our air pack. So you see the picture here. That's the air pack that the firefighters breathe to be able to go into a hazardous environment. So our current air packs were granted 17 years ago. These are 17-year-old, replacing 17-year-old SCBAs. What happens is current safety standards and the actual bottles themselves, we get them hydro tested every 5 years, but after 10, they'll refuse to hydro test them. And what we've run into is issues with the fire academy and training. They won't let us use these in training fires anymore just because of their age. So we were unsuccessful in getting the grant last 2 years, but there is a micro grant opportunity through the AFG this year for us to replace the remaining 8 packs that we need to. And that's 95% federally funded with a 5% local obligation. The remainder of the packs that need to be replaced is in the ballpark of $75,000. And that will allow us to get caught up. What we used in the last 2 years was our local match to buy 4 packs a year just to get the frontline engine and our tower outfitted, but we still have another engine, the ambulance and the police cruisers to go. So it means we still have another 8 air packs. I'm pretty confident. We had a meeting with the federal AFG grant people in December, and said that we stand a very good chance, seeing that we were not selected to be funded in the last 2 years, that in a micro grant, we're not in competition with the entire country anymore. We get taken out of that pool and considered for those projects on an individual basis, and said that a micro grant would be way more beneficial for us. So this is another grant request. Again, 75,000, 95 was going to be covered by grant, 5% for a local obligation, and that will get us the rest of the air packs that we need.
And that'll be the way that voters see the warrant presented, is for a total of 75,000. But the breakdown of the grant money and the town match, will be shown in the warrant article. So there's one more thing for public safety.
Yeah, so the SCBA compressor replacement, we were going to apply this year since we were unsuccessful with the air packs, put this under the AFG grant, but during that meeting with the AFG folks in December, this piece of equipment was not eligible to be funded. It was a low priority, and because it is such a competitive grant, all the other high priority items were being funded first. And he said in the last 3 years, there were no projects even at mid-level priority that were even that got funded. So with that knowledge, knowing that we currently have an air compressor that is 19 years old, this air compressor fills those SCBA air bottles. It is the only way that we have to fill the bottles. It is now broken, and because of its age, they no longer make this particular unit, and we can no longer get parts for it. So like I said, this is a 2005 air compressor. It is out of service, and what we are looking to do is to replace this this unit here so we can fill our own air bottles at a fire. And even for training right now, we're forced to bring all our stuff to Campton to fill our air packs, even if we wanted to train, which is not the most ideal for these situations. So the total quote that we had to replace this was the 62,000.
No, okay. Great, so I'm gonna move on to the other warrant articles that are outside it directly of public safety. There's one other thing that is related with building to the department, but the first thing I want to talk about is the creation of capital reserve accounts. There are two separate warrant articles that voters will see on warrant this year. The first is to create a $100,000 capital reserve account for Snows Mountain Road. The purposes are to continue engineering for the road repairs and repaving, the water line replacement, and design and planning for a possible sewer line on the road. So there is a budget estimate that we want to develop so that we can bring a good number to the 2025 town meeting and ask voters if they want to make these more permanent repairs up on Snows Mountain Road. Folks may have noticed we did a repaving of the road from Boulder Path Road all the way to the end of Snows Mountain Road during 2023. We did that because the road had become so bad that we were worried we could not maintain it in a passable condition for the winter. And, you know, being able to get fire trucks, ambulances, police cruisers up there to help folks and just maintain the water line that is already there on the road. We need folks to be able to have access to their properties that live up there. So we did these temporary repairs. It was some base work and minor drainage work, and then a repaving of the road so that it'd be easier to plow it. And that has worked really well this winter. But already we have had another water main break on the road just last week and had to cut our new pavement and make some temporary repairs to the line so that we could continue to use it. So this $100,000 will be used for continued engineering. We have a conceptual plan, but it needs a lot more work. And we need to prepare actual plans that we could put out to bid so that contractors can give us cost estimates that we can bring to the 2025 town meeting in a warrant article to actually make the repairs. So that would be a project, if this is approved, that we would work on over the summer and then come into 2025 with more information for you. The second warrant article that you'll see is to fund our existing trash truck repair and replacement capital reserve. We've had a couple of major maintenance issues that have caused us to dip into our operating account to a pretty extensive level. We want to start putting money away. First of all, to make sure that we have funds available to make repairs on the truck if we need it, but also towards the replacement, which we anticipate will be within the next 2 or so years, 2 to 3 years, but we will be coming back each year and putting an amount of money away towards that purchase in the future. That was a major point of discussion towards the end of town meeting last year, was this whole idea of putting money away and having these capital reserve accounts so that we do not have to borrow as much. Historically, the town has not put a lot of money away in the capital reserves, but we can see with the rising prices of fire engines, ambulances, I'm sure the trash truck will see the same sorts of increases. Putting aside a larger amount of money is something that the town may want to consider in the future. We hope to continue that discussion as part of this town meeting process. We have to try to temper that because we are purchasing large pieces of equipment right now. The select board for 2024 has decided that we're not going to fund the capital reserves at really high levels right now because we are spending the money for the bonds, and we're being kind of forced into doing that because of the increasing prices that we're seeing and wanting to lock in the replacement of the vehicles earlier than we anticipated. So anyway, these will be 2 separate warrant articles that you will see, and I'm sure we'll have a pretty robust discussion about capital reserves going forward. Okay, so there are several warrant articles that relate to improvements on municipal facilities. We're gonna make some minor repairs to our booster station up on Cascade Ridge Road for the water system. This helps maintain water pressures for the properties on Cascade Ridge that are actually above our water reservoirs. For the rest of our system, we utilize the pressure provided by the water flowing out of the reservoirs down into the water system by gravity. So this is actually the only booster station that we have in our system right now. There's also $10,000 for some work on the floor drainage system in our fire bays. Dave, do you want to talk about that for just a sec?
Sure. We just noticed within the last couple of years that we have 3 floor drains that allow the snow, slush, ice, and water from when we wash these trucks to drain out of the station on the floors. They're original to the building, but we've found that several of them are compromised. They are cracked and we're eroding the bedding underneath the floors now with that water. So we're going to try to look for a solution. There's some companies, try to get a company in here to take a look and see if there's a solution that we can employ to get that repaired and try to reduce the amount of erosion that's occurring underneath the bay floors.
Yeah, and I would anticipate this is probably a first step, right?
Yes.
We'll come in, we'll do as much as we can for the $10,000. We're really gonna be exploring things more than anything else this year. And come up with a more robust plan to make some other improvements, because we anticipate we're gonna be in the building here for a while going forward. So we want to make sure that if we are in fact eroding seriously underneath the floor, that we're taking care of that as well. But we don't want to ask for a huge amount of money up front until we have more of an idea of what's there.
Yeah, we need to really learn to what extent the damage is happening.
Yeah.
So
But I think realistically, just letting people know that there's probably more on the horizon.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in addition to that, we're gonna be replacing the storage shed for the recreation department at Packard's Field. It's over 10 years old, it's falling apart. And we definitely need to replace that. And then two smaller projects for Corcoran's Pond. We need to replace most or some of the dock that's over by the gazebo by Town Square, and do some work on the top of that and actually with the supports as well. And even though we're planning one more year of the boats being across over by the beach, we still need to repair the dock because it is integral to what Town Square does during the summertime. And we need to keep that in good repair because people are on it. So that's $20,000. And then during 2023, we did an initial engineering study to look at what our options would be to dredge the pond. It is silting in quite badly. We last did that in 2009, and we need to take another look at how to make some improvements and get the depth restored to the pond. The initial engineering that we did, the price of doing another dredging project is very high. We want to continue to look at that engineering through the summer of this year and work with the resort and the business community, and then do more presentations to the town on what a future dredging project would look like. So we would like additional funding for that continued engineering on the dredging. And then there are several warrant articles for other equipment replacement. We have a proposal to replace our oldest plow truck. We have some cost estimates for a new truck with plow and sanding equipment. Our estimate is about $44,000 per year for a 4-year lease program. And during town meeting, we'll give you more details regarding the plow truck and how we use them and what the current condition of our trucks are. And then another lease with the changes that we had to make at the transfer station, here by the DPW garage. Our solid waste transfer station has to be now enclosed with a fence and have gates in it. We needed a piece of equipment to maintain it, during the winter with a smaller, snow blower attachment that, we could maneuver around the relatively small space here for our transfer station. Our current sidewalk tractor, was large for it, and a regular hand snow blower was too small. So we were kind of caught in between. So we did some research, settled on a skid steer, which is a small four-wheel tractor that you see driving around town. The select board authorized expenditure from the operating budget in 2023. We entered a 3-year lease and made the first payment. This is the second year of the 3 years towards the vehicle. The nice thing is the same snow blower attachment that we use at the transfer station, we can also use on our sidewalks. And it actually works better than our existing sidewalk tractor, which is reaching the end of its useful life, and is becoming kind of a maintenance headache. So we can take the sidewalk tractor out of service because we have this skid steer. It also has an attachment for salting and sanding. So it's a very it's a good vehicle, gives us a lot of flexibility to do a lot of different jobs around town. In addition to having the bucket and
Yeah, and they're able to mechanically clear with the snow blower, the hydrants in town.
absolutely, yeah,
That would usually take quite a while to do, and sometimes we'd have to borrow equipment to be able to do that. So this piece of equipment's very, very helpful.
yep. And so that'll be a separate warrant article that you'll see. Another one, a third one for a lease, is the recreation department. The oldest bus for the rec department failed its safety inspection in 2023. So we had to take it out of service. We could not repair it to actually pass it through the vehicle inspection. So rather than replace that vehicle with another bus, after discussions with the rec staff and the select board, we decided to propose entering a lease for a 15-passenger van. That's the same capacity as the bus, but a different configuration for the vehicle. That's less expensive. That would be a 4-year lease for $16,500. So we hope to be able to do that. It is a vehicle that's used extensively by the recreation department, especially for support of our summer camp programs and our other outdoor programs that we run. And that's expanding from the summer. Even now we have snowshoe hikes and things that are going out of town that to be able to have a safe vehicle to do those trips is very beneficial for us in the department. Final one is dumpster replacement program. So we have approximately 80 dumpsters around the town and at our central transfer station here. So we have never had a true regular replacement. We basically have used dumpsters until they have fallen apart, but a lot of them are reaching the age where we can no longer replace them in just ones and twos at a time. Out of our operating budget, we need to have a capital amount where we can replace. This represents replacing 10 of the dumpsters during 2024. You will see a proposed warrant article probably for the next 7 to 10 years, where we're replacing all of the dumpsters to get them into a regular rotation. The dumpsters are impacted by the weather. They are, with the trash and everything that's thrown into them, they do degrade pretty quickly. We have a great maintenance program. Our technician, our maintenance tech, is a very good welder, and we can put additional steel on them to reinforce them to extend their life, but at some point they just rust out and need to be replaced. So that's what this program is for. And I think that is the end of the presentation, so I will stop the share. And I want to thank Dave for taking the time this morning, and hope that this has provided folks with some information that you watch before our budget hearing or before town meeting. We just want to make sure that you guys have all of the information that you need, and help our discussion be better during those events. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at the hearing on February 6th, next Wednesday, at 6:15 at the gym. See you
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you.
Can I keep this one?